Hey guys, Chef Nick here with Cook Everything, and today I'm going to be dropping some fried chicken knowledge on you guys, and hopefully some knowledge that you didn't already know. I've cooked a lot of fried chicken in my life. I've definitely eaten a ton of fried chicken in my life, and as a matter of fact, I'm 28 years old and afraid to have a cholesterol test. Anyways, that's a different story for a different video. I've eaten a lot of fried chicken. Here's the thing about fried chicken. It is very easy to make, but without the proper knowledge and proper technique, it can be very hard to perfect. So in this video, I'm going to show you the method that I use, and I'm going to try to go into as much detail as possible explaining the reasoning behind everything. So if you have been cooking fried chicken for a long time, I hope you'll still watch this video. I feel like we can all learn something, even if we just pick up bits and pieces here and there. If you don't learn anything, then that would be a great opportunity for you to teach me something. So just leave a comment in the box below if you have any suggestions. And also, if you have never cooked fried chicken before, if you're just kind of in the research phase and this is the reason you're watching this video, is because you want to try to make fried chicken at home, or if you're just looking to up your fried chicken game, I promise you, if you use this method that I'm fixing to show you, the world will be your fried chicken oyster. And there is a pun there. I'll explain more about that in the video. If you liked it, please hit that like button, and if you'd like to see more, I'm going to be posting videos regularly, at least a couple times a week on our YouTube channel. So please hit that subscribe button. If you want notifications, you can hit the little bell. Without further ado, let's start frying up some chicken. So we're going to start out by preparing our marinade. And our marinade is going to consist of 2 cups of buttermilk and about a 1/4 cup of hot sauce. I'm using Valentina here, but you could use whatever kind of hot sauce you have. And we're just going to mix this until it's homogeneous, and by homogeneous I mean we're going to mix it to a point as to where you cannot tell that there are 2 ingredients in there, and you can tell that by this mixture becoming one solid light pink or orange color. And we're just going to reserve that. Next, we're going to start out with 4 cups of flour. This is going to be our dredge for our fried chicken. To that, we're going to add 3 tablespoons salt, 1 tablespoon of black pepper, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 2 tablespoons of paprika, and a 1.5 teaspoons of cayenne pepper. So with a whisk, just get in the bowl and mix this also homogeneously. So you don't want to see any clumps of any dried spices. You want to make sure everything is evenly dispersed throughout this mixture. And it's always a good idea to use a mixing bowl whenever you're making a dredge, so you have plenty of space to work with. And after that, we are going to transfer some of our dredge, about half of it, into a baking dish. And this is going to be the vessel that we're actually going to be breading the chicken in. Next, we're going to start on our chicken. I will be posting another video link down in the description box that gives a much more in-depth explanation as to how to properly break down a chicken. So if you're not familiar with breaking down a chicken, just click on that link and I will show you everything you need to know. But for the time being, just start out by removing the wishbone. Cut both of the wings off. Score both the legs and thighs. Pop the bone out of the socket and remove both of the legs. And then you're going to come back to your keel bone, slice down, and remove each of your breasts with the wings still attached. We will be reserving the breasts for a different use. I don't like to fry breast meat just because it's too lean and it always comes out dry. So cut through the joint of the drumstick and the thigh to separate. Next, we're going to place our 2 drumsticks and 2 thighs in a container, and we're going to cover them in our buttermilk and hot sauce marinade, and we're going to leave that covered in the refrigerator for a minimum of 12 hours and up to 24 hours. So what the marinade does is, first off, it creates a viscous coating around the chicken so that whenever we get ready to dredge our chicken in our flour mixture, that the chicken is going to be able to hold more flour on it, thus creating a crispier crust whenever we get ready to fry it. The other couple of things that it's going to do is it's going to help season the chicken, so the chicken itself will actually pick up some tangy notes from the buttermilk and hot sauce. And it's also going to tenderize the chicken because the buttermilk and the hot sauce have quite a bit of acid in it, and acid helps to tenderize any sort of meat. To a certain extent, anything over 24 hours would be too much, so just try not to let it go over that time limit. Okay, after about 12 hours, we're going to take our chicken out of the marinade, and this is a very important step. We're going to start to bread our chicken. So just lift the chicken up from the marinade, shake any kind of excess off, but it still should have an even coating of the buttermilk and hot sauce mixture on it, as you can see here. That's exactly what we want. So we're just going to start by placing each piece of chicken in our flour mixture, and we want to coat the chicken very, very generously. So we're going to just start by flipping over each piece to give it a light dusting, and then we're going to come back through with our excess flour that we reserved and sprinkle some over the top as needed. Again, I can't emphasize enough how generous you should be with the flour here. You want to make sure that every little inch of the chicken is completely coated in flour. And what I'm doing here is I'm actually pressing the flour into the chicken, and flip it over again. You can still see some of that buttermilk marinade where it's already absorbed the flour, so that's a good opportunity for us to add even more flour to it. So we're going to continue to press the flour in and coat as needed, and I've already added some more flour here, and you can see everything is completely covered in flour. So I'm just going to freeze this frame here for a few seconds so I can tell you about the next step. This is a very important, very crucial step. After you get the chicken evenly coated in the flour, you want to leave this out at room temperature for about 1 hour. And the reason behind this is the chicken is so cold in the center, whenever we go to fry it, it's going to be beautifully done on the outside and undercooked on the inside. So this is very crucial just to kind of knock off that chill of the chicken. It's completely safe, I assure you. And the other reason is we want to let that flour kind of settle into the chicken. The longer you let that flour sit there with the chicken, the thicker the coating is going to become, because that buttermilk is going to hydrate even more with the flour, which is going to bind more flour to that chicken, which is exactly what we want. So after you coat it in the flour, just leave it out at room temperature for 1 hour. While we're waiting on our chicken, we're going to preheat a medium-sized cast iron skillet oven at 400 degrees. And after the hour has passed, you can take your skillet out of the oven and place it on your stove over medium-high heat. Pour your oil in at about halfway up the side of the pan. You want to have plenty of oil in there, and leave it in there for about another minute or so that it will give the oil enough time to heat up. So when you drop your chicken in, you want to drop the thighs down, skin side down in the oil, so the bone should be facing up. And you also want to turn the heat down to medium low. The ideal temperature here is about 325 degrees. It could be between, say, 315 to 325 degrees. So drop your chicken in, and you don't want to touch this chicken for about 12 minutes. Now, After about 9 minutes, you do want to take some tongs and lift up your chicken and check the bottom, just because your heat might be a little bit higher than what it should be. That's fine. If it seems like the bottom's getting too done, you can go ahead and flip it. But at 325 degrees, roughly so, it's going to take about 12 minutes. So after 12 minutes, you want to gently turn the chicken over. And you can see we've already started to develop a really nice crust on the bottom. And it's important, 325 degrees is a pretty low temperature to fry something in. We just want to take it nice and slow so we give the chicken enough time to not only cook through, but to actually kind of break down and to let the heat tenderize the chicken a bit more. So after we flip it, we're going to cook it for another 5 minutes, and then we're going to turn it back over on the original side and turn our heat back up to medium-high for a final crisping. So basically you want to flip your chicken back over, put the heat on medium-high, like I said, for about 2 to 3 minutes, and just until the bottom of the chicken is starting to get really deep and golden brown. That's whenever you want to get it out of the oil, and it will be completely done. Look at that. You can see the steam coming off of it. It's just absolutely beautiful. You want to move it on to a resting rack, or if you don't have a resting rack, you could definitely use some paper towels, but you don't want to stack the chicken up, because if you stack the chicken, it's going to start to steam, and we're going to lose that beautiful crust that we worked so hard for. So you can hear how absolutely crispy and delicious this chicken is. And you can see a little bit of browning on that drumstick there to the left. That is absolutely perfect. That's exactly what we were going for. And there you have it. I like to serve mine with hot sauce and even a little bit of honey. It's also good with some country style white cream gravy, or whatever you like to eat your chicken with. I want to thank you guys for tuning into this video. I really hope you learned something. If you enjoyed it, please hit the subscribe button again. I would love to also hear some feedback. So if you have anything to say, if you have questions, comments, just leave it in the comment box below, and I will get back with you. All right, thanks, and I'll see you next time.